MacVoices at NAB 2024. This is MacVoices at NAB in Las Vegas. Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. The Prismatic company is something that's new here for this year at NAB. Abe and Matthew are going to tell you about what they're doing, and what you can expect to see from them in the next couple months. Gentlemen, it's great to meet you both.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So I'm not sure who's going to do the talking, so tell me what the Prismatic company does and what you're doing with something you're calling LightWeave.
All right, I'll start with that. We're an early stage startup, just a few months old now, and we're building a new platform for content creation. To give you an idea of sort of how this works, I want to give you a kind of a metaphor here. So the way, imagine how an artist will draw a picture. They're not going to start in the corner like a printer does and make everything perfect and move to the next piece and next piece and next piece. They're going to make a rough sketch, and they're going to refine that into something that is then worthy of publication. We're one of our goals is to bring that to video and other content production. And what do you do as a rough sketch for a video? For most people, that's going to be an outline. Flesh that into a script. And then maybe have a storyboard after that before you go into production. And normally that consists of all these sort of distinct phases. What our platform does is let you start writing the outline as text. And as soon as you start writing that in another window, you will see a produced video based on that. So you get an instant produced video out of what you're writing. You can then begin to refine that into something that is production worthy. So it's a gradual process. I'm sure you're gonna have a lot of questions about what that.
Yeah, I got a lot of questions about that one. Sure. So if I type into one window, doing an interview with the Prismatic company at NAB in Las Vegas,
yeah,
I'm going to start seeing something in the other window that's going to be a video representation of that.
Yeah. Basically, the idea is. Just like in a word processor, you can format something as bold or format something as italic. Here, you can format the text as a visual or as audio. So I can format something as voiceover, and then so you might be thinking, okay, well, how does this actually show up in the video? What do I get as a result? What you're going to get is, if I just type in text, I'll see that text on the screen as a title. If I put voiceover in, I will hear text-to-speech reading that voiceover. I can then start to type in the name of an image or a video clip that I have in my library, and it will drop that in. It'll give me a little pop-up that suggests that, and we'll drop that content in line into that script. If I don't have that, I can just type text in that says, I could say cut away to the company's video here, and that will show up initially as text, but on the screen. But the point is that I can immediately, as soon as I put that together, get something. The beginning one is kind of like a live storyboard, a draft, but I can get a feel for the timing. I can get a feel for when I listen to the text-to-speech voiceover, is this too wordy? Once I start to refine that in, drop in actual media to replace those placeholders, that becomes a more polished video. I can then go in and control, like, okay, this is a subtitle, but where do I want the subtitle? What color should it be? I can define that across the whole video or for an individual one. And so it's this process of gradually refining that into the video that I'm happy to publish. But during that process, I might say, you know what, I don't want text-to-speech. For some content creators these days, actually that's acceptable, but for many it isn't, and you might want to do something professional. So I can record my own voiceover, drop that in, and that replaces the text-to-speech. Or I could hire a voice artist through another platform integrated with ours. The advantage is the voice artist actually gets to see how their recording is being used in context. As soon as the recording is done, it's dropped into the platform automatically. Now, let's say I go back and I change that later on. I change the script. If it's text-to-speech, it can update it. If it's not, it's going to change that voiceover that it was affected temporarily back to text-to-speech for my preview, and it's going to flag that it needs re-recording. And I can then go in and say, I want to re-record all the things that were affected by this change. It will tell me, here's how much it's going to cost. Give me an option to hire the same voice actor. And as soon as their results come in, I'll get notified. These are in your video. You can check it out and preview it, and then automatically publish the updated video if you want.
Wow. Okay, so if you said it, I missed it. And I did hear you say...
That was long.
Yeah, I did hear you say that, look at your video clips. But if I'm doing something cold, Is it pulling video clips from somewhere else? Do you have a library or?
Sure. So that's actually, sorry, I should wait till you point the mic at me, shouldn't I?
That's all right.
That's entirely up to you. The idea is we're working to integrate with many platforms. So if you have your own media library, you can use that. If you are using stock media libraries, you can also link those platforms, and will allow you to start to type in that. It will give you a filtered search into one of those platforms, and you can drop that in. You can use that as a placeholder temporarily, or for your final content. Another use case, people ask us a lot about AI, we see AI very much as sort of an optional assistant to your process. So if I need to get visuals in right away that are going to be later replaced by actual recorded video or images or motion graphics, but to get a feel for that in my early draft, we can also integrate with generative AI platforms. So I type in a video description there and say, make this, drop it in here. And one of the nice things about that is, if I change the script later on, we can go back to that same platform, get a new updated one that gives you a new draft, and that's flagged for needs someone to actually reproduce that piece, maybe not using AI.
Okay.
So,
could I jump in there?
Yeah, please.
So one of the motivations behind this is the idea that, as creators today, you might be an amazing musician or an amazing chef, or you might have some story you want to tell. You've done a lot of work to do that part. Now there's a lot of other things you have to do if you want to be, on YouTube and on all these different platforms, and maybe do a podcast. You have a lot of things that you're trying to get your story out. There's a lot of skills that go into that. What Matt was just talking about with having these different options. So I'm being a creative director by sketching out all these different things, writing my script. Now I say, okay, here's a part that I'm not as good at. I don't really like doing voiceover. I'm okay with an AI voice, or maybe I'm not, and I'd like to hire a voice actor. Or, I'm great at all these parts, but I need some special footage, and can I call out to stock media, or to another person through the app to insert that in? So the idea is that I get to just focus on my creative process, which is already enough work, to really make a high quality story or whatever it is, or online course if you're an educator, whatever it is you're trying to do. I get to focus on that creative process, and the platform is going to take the heavy lifting on to help sort of get you that support through whatever tool makes most sense for you.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. And so I guess I have to ask, is this using machine learning? Is that what's generating that new video, or is it completely something different?
No, so actually, as we were talking briefly before the interview, part of my background is from building mobile applications for motion graphics production, for video post-production. So we have a lot of experience with building those kind of renderers, and that's what we're using here. We're not using machine learning to build a video. It's built the same way that we built using a standard desktop video production application. But the difference is that with that kind of application, you as the user are placing your content somewhere specific on the screen, right? So I'm saying, here's some I want to add a text layer. I'm going to drag it around. I want to put it here. Sometimes you want that. But in many cases, early in the process, it's too early for that. I want to type some text. It's going to be a title on the screen. In my first draft, I don't care where that is. I just want to get that rough cut first, and then refine it. And then and so you can do that the same way that as I said before, in a word processor you can format bold, italic, whatever. I can go into those formatting options and say, where do I want to put this item on the screen? I can control that if I want to, but the point is I don't have to make that creative decision up front. That can happen later when I'm ready to. And I think another really important point here is that those creative decisions don't have to be made at the level of one individual piece of content. I can do that at a higher level. So I can say, for example, I'm formatting this text as a caption. And then later on, I can say all of my captions are going to be at this point in the screen, in this color, in this font. And I can define that also per output target that I want. So I can say, okay, for Instagram, this particular project, all the captions on Instagram are going to be over here, and on TikTok they're going to be, say, over here, because I have different aspect ratios on my video and I want to make sure it fits. So if I go and I manually position that layer in one particular spot, the traditional way, I have a lot of manual work now to make that to fit a version of that content for other platforms. But by defining it by intent and saying, okay, I'm forming this as in this role, and then how is that role then realized for the different targets? For YouTube, for example, you might not want your subtitles to be in the video at all. You want a separate subtitle file you're going to upload to YouTube so users can turn it on or off or change languages.
Before we started, you mentioned that you're working on 3 different apps. Can you tell me what those are and how they fit into the process that Matthew's been discussing?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have these 3 apps. We have LightWeve Charts, which is an app for making professional animated charts quickly and easily on phone. One of the reasons we're excited about that, and it's actually our first app that we're going to be launching shortly after NAB, is because there's a lot of elections happening this year, and there's a lot of mobile journalists who need to be able to cover the polls and quickly get a professional but dynamic, chart very quickly. And so this will allow you to do that. It has some really neat, interesting chart types in there that aren't normally found. So that's the first thing that we're launching, just because of kind of the timeliness of that. The next thing is LightWeve Scribe, which is we've talked a lot about that, where you write text on one side and you get an instantly produced video on the other. And the third one, which we haven't, I don't think, talked about yet, is LightWeve Interactive, which is an interactive video maker. So the idea is that you can make a video where you can choose, where the viewer can choose their own path. So it's a branching video. So you can say, okay, maybe it's for, if you're a storyteller, what should happen next in the story, and somebody can choose that. If you're an educator, you can be teaching something to your students and then pause and ask them a question. And if they have a misconception in the way they answer, you can go to a different video branch for the next part to help get them back on track. If you're a marketer, you can try to find out what does your customer really need, and show them something where you're helping them get connected with the product that it actually meets their needs. So that's the interactive video maker, which is going to have a simple editor if you don't want to get into anything sophisticated, or an advanced node editor if you want to do sophisticated branching and hierarchies and looping and these kinds of things. So all of those, we're working on those in parallel with the full platform. They'll get a lot of enhancement with the platform to be able to manage your portfolio at scale and integrate all those things. So if you want to make a video using the sort of typing that Scribe does, but you also want to put an animated chart in there, you want to make it an interactive video, all those will be integrated, and you'll be able to manage them at scale across your portfolio. But we're working on them in parallel because we think that individually, we're going to release them as soon as they're ready, because we think individually they offer enough unique value that isn't really covered by any apps that are currently out there.
So actually, if I can add to...
Please.
To add to that, I think we're, as Abe mentioned, the platform itself is being built in parallel. Each of these applications has value independently of that, and they're not the only ones that we're going to be building. There will be other applications as well for the platform. The idea is that if you have a narrow use case, you can use a specialized application. If you have a broader use case, you can use the platform as a whole. But the one thing that we didn't mention, I think, yet, is that when you move from LightWeve Scribe, which is the write text, get a video out of that, to the larger platform, there is some additional functionality that comes out of that, which is that with Scribe on its own as standalone, that's running on your desktop, your Mac, and that's generating your output locally on that device. With the platform as a whole, you don't have one project in isolation. You can have multiple projects with small content fragments that can be reused across different projects. And if you change one of those content fragments, it can then tell you this change you've made now affects all of these different, say 5 YouTube videos, 3 Instagram posts, a website, and so on, and then automatically re-render and republish those videos. So in some cases that can be completely automatic. If that change only affects, let's say so the example running here in the booth is a small video promoting tours in Seoul, because half our team's based in Seoul. let's say you change the price of that. That's going to be maybe in your YouTube description. It's also going to be in the video in the form of captions and text. If I edit that, it will then automatically be able to republish those videos for me. But let's say that it was actually in a voiceover clip instead. Someone recorded a voiceover for it. When I make that change, it will say, okay, it affects these videos. These can be automatically republished. These require voiceover re-recording, and then offer to let you rehire that voice actor, plug that in, and republish. So it's a way of basically keeping your content updated and fresh at scale across many platforms. And I think this is actually something that Abe can talk about more because he comes from a background in ed tech that's related to that. So
yeah, that's fascinating that you'll be able to keep things updated, because that's one of the problems now. No matter what we produce, then you got to go back and not start over, but do a lot of editing. This does it sort of on the fly for you.
Exactly.
If I'm understanding. Do I have it, Abe?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I used to work as I was a teacher originally, and then I got into education tech in that tech field, and I made a bunch of different courses that were teaching tech skills, actually. So learn to program, learn machine learning, learn cloud computing, we spent in some cases $1 million in a year producing a really high quality, amazing course, and then you launch it, and a month later the technology shifts a little bit, and you still have a lot of value that you created in all that content, but it's completely useless now because whatever the changes made it out of date. And I've seen cases in which this amazing high quality content had to get shelved. It was never used because of those changes. To me, that should never happen, right? You should be able to have a way of updating and managing your portfolio at scale. Now, that's in the ed tech industry. That was a company that had some resources to put behind it. I'm also a creator. I do YouTube videos, and I talk to other creators, and it's the same kind of challenge there, only they don't have those resources. So, you made 200 videos for your YouTube channel, and then there was some kind of update, or you realized something that you wanted to improve in them, and it's just killing creators to try to make those at any kind of scale. And so creators put a huge amount of effort into the work that they do. We want to help them get a lot more out of that effort by making it possible to say, okay, I'm going to keep my portfolio fresh. I'm going to make improvements. Even just something as simple as I changed the color of my logo on my YouTube channel. Do I have to manually edit, copy and paste and edit 200 videos? That shouldn't have to be the case. You should be able to have a change that happens in one place. You click a button and the platform takes that on. Because as the creator, as the storyteller, that's enough hard work as it is. You shouldn't have to also manage all that tedious stuff.
Right there with you. So 2 questions, one of which is a fair question, one of which is an unfair question. How's that?
Who wants the unfair question?
Yeah.
I'll go.
Okay, so the fair question is, I know you said this is coming. How soon is what coming? Do you anticipate?
Sure. So at the moment, the platform. So we have 3 apps in the platform. The first app, Charts, we're planning to launch that in May. The next app, Scribe and Interactive, both of them we plan to launch in the fall. Development schedules can shift, obviously, but we do have experience in our background with rapid development. So, I'm not going to give you I can't give you a specific date on that, obviously, but we very much want to be able to show off hands-on stuff at IBC this fall. So we're pushing very hard for that. But our target is release in the fall. The platform as a whole, that full integration, that ability to have one change in one piece of content, cascade, to everything else, that's for next year.
No, got it. The unfair question, Abe, since you volunteered.
Oh boy.
What kind of pricing will there be? And I know it's early days. Is there any, are we talking this is a $5 app, a $50 app, a $5,000 app? Because you're talking about some pretty sophisticated stuff here.
Yeah, so we're not ready to release or to say anything super specific about pricing until we get it to where we're releasing or close to release. But what I can tell you is absolutely we're not targeting the high dollar premium kind of product here. Something that's really important to us is, and the reason we're doing this is because we're creators too. And I believe everybody has a story to tell. Everybody has value to share. And a lot of that value is locked up because we don't have time or we don't have the money. All these challenges that we just talked about of, creating a portfolio, updating it at scale, all of these things. And then the money is another aspect of that. And so this isn't going to be a premium thing. This is going to be something where we really want it to be accessible to people, regardless of whether they're in a geographically or socioeconomically different position. We really want to have it be an accessible app that people can get. So I know that's a little bit of a political answer in terms of avoiding a specific number.
Well,
Matt maybe can comment on that as well. But
yeah, but I ask a political kind of question. So you're allowed.
I have a very technical point of view on that, which is that companies that are charging large amounts, high prices for their products, they don't need to care as much about what their back end costs are. They're looking at just, if they can make them cheaper, they're going to make more money, but they have a huge margin on that, so they don't care. We want to make this affordably priced, and that means we need to have a deep understanding of exactly how those back end costs are coming out so that we can make that price as low as we reasonably can. And so that's one of the reasons why we're not in a position right now to announce pricing, that we want to do that later in the year when we have a better sense of how those pieces are fitting together.
That
allows us to make it cheaper.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. But I want to be fair to the audience, and it sounds like you're trying to do just what you just described. That you're trying to make it for creators who are not necessarily professionals, but who have something that they want to create, like an educator.
Yeah.
And so that's your target market, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, so we want it to be available to both professionals and non-professionals, and even I would make a distinction between somebody who's a professional in something but not a professional creator, like they're an educator. I just the other day was talking to my music teacher, amazing instructor, huge value to share with the world, really struggling to sort of do the technical creator aspects of getting his videos up online and monetizing them and all of that. We want everybody to be able to have access to this. So basically, our goal is anybody who would use it, we want them to be able to have access. And so, we're going to be working hard to try to find the pricing model that obviously keeps us, going, but also makes it available to as many people as possible who would use it.
The website where folks can go to learn about what you've got now, what's coming, and just keep up for the Prismatic company is
Prismatic.org. So prismatic.org.
On .org, that's interesting. Okay. Any comment on why .org?
Well, to be frank, because prismatic.com was not available, we're actually looking into maybe being able to get that, but that's unknown at this point. So
that's fair. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Great, interesting sounding product. I'm looking forward to seeing it, maybe playing with it, because what you're showing up here is very interesting.
Since you mentioned wanting to get your hands on it and play with it, if you don't mind me saying, if you go to the website, prismatic.org, and there is a place you can sign up for early access, so that, you'll get on the waiting list. The moment we have something to get your hands on, the people who signed up on there are going to get on first and be able to give us early feedback, and we will listen to their feedback. It's one of the reasons we're here now, this early, only 3 months after founding the company, is we think this is revolutionary, but also we want to understand what are other people's use cases and how can we make sure that we're building this to meet their needs too. We're creators, we're building this for ourselves, but also for everyone. So
great information.
That's what I was basically going to say, but just that now is the time when we want to talk to other creators, other folks in the industry, because now is the time when it's both the most useful to us in terms of making sure that the product really meets the needs and solves the problems that we want it to solve. But also it's the time when folks who are having a conversation and giving us feedback can have the biggest impact on what we actually build. So we are absolutely the kind of company where we want to hear, hey, we think we're solving this problem. Are we really? What other problems are we not thinking about? And we want those ideas, and we want to really make it a product that people want to use and that actually solves the problems.
Thank you again. Great,
Thank you.
Great, interesting product. Really great ideas. Folks, more from NAB in Las Vegas. I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. you will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.